Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
By signing the Declaration of Independence, the 56 Americans pledged their lives, their fortunes, and their sacred honor. It was no idle pledge. 9 signers died of wounds during the Revolutionary War. 5 were captured or imprisoned. Wives and children were killed, jailed, mistreated, or left penniless. 12 signers' houses were burned to the ground. 17 lost everything they owned. No signer defected. Their honor, like their nation, remained intact. Here comes Kate Smith, and God bless America on this Monday, July the 6th. And we need a patriot to call in with our Pledge of Allegiance. Good morning. And a good morning to you and yours. I'm Zeb Bell. After a great Independence Day weekend, and of course brought to you by our major sponsors, Zeb at the Ranch, and of course Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Oh, we are so appreciative of them, all 7 locations serving you. Very safe, clean environment, and the best in tires. Along with our friends at Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. Right now, let's go to the phone line and have our Pledge of Allegiance. Good morning. How are you?
Good. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much, Randy. I appreciate it, buddy. Have a great day. Thank you.
Yes.
Right now, let's go to the weather forecast brought to you by our friends at K&R Rental. Oh, good morning, Roger. How you doing over there at 256 South 600 west of Heyburn? Right there on the Burley-Paul Highway. You can't possibly miss them. What a front yard. I mean, they've got equipment and tools all over the place to help you with any kind of a project you need to get finished. I don't care if it's, even your garden and lawn or whatever. They've got all the power rakes and they got all the rototillers. They've got everything, all the water lines at K&R Rental. Call them. Find out more, 678-3122. Right now, here's Gina with the weather.
For the first week of July, it's going to be kind of a warm one. Here's a look at your weather forecast. For today, we are expecting sunny skies, high close to 91, a slight breeze out of the south-southwest at about 5 miles an hour. For tonight, mostly clear skies with a low of 57. Tomorrow, sunny. It will be cooling off just a little bit, only to a high of 80 with an overnight low of 52. By Wednesday, sunny skies, high of 82. Then by Thursday, going to be warming back up to about 90 degrees. Friday, high of 90 as well. Then for the weekend, looks like we're going to be stuck in the 90s. That's look at your weather for Zeb at the Ranch.
All right, Gina, thank you very much. Great forecast. If you like summer, it's here. And the weather brought to you by K&R Rental. 256 South 600 west of Heyburn. They've got all the tools and equipment for both long and short-term rental. If you're not sure what you need, just ask them. Talk to Roger and they can help you at 678-3122. K&R Rental. Oh, my goodness sakes. Kicking things off on a Monday. I can't believe it's July the 6th already. Had a wonderful, absolutely phenomenal weekend. I hope you did too. And want to remind you too about Daryl's Cleaners. Maybe a lot of you spilled a lot of ice cream, or maybe you got a lot of ketchup and mustard and hot sauce from all those cheeseburgers and everything you were eating. Well, take your clothes into Daryl's Cleaners. They are the best at what they do. I mean that. We've been going in there for a long time, and believe me, they take care of your clothes. Daryl's Cleaners, 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. And don't forget, too, they'll even do the washing for you. I mean, if you don't have time and you're busy, they'll wash, dry, fold, and iron all your clothes. All you got to do is just get on in and talk to Kevin and Cindy at Daryl's Cleaners, 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. Super, super nice people. Real quick, before I take my first call this morning, I want to remind you, too, about some other folks that get to their office early in the morning to serve you, and that's, of course, Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. You betcha. Telephone number to call, 678-0459, and it's not bragging at all when I say they've got all your heating, cooling, and electrical needs, and that's not brag, that's a fact. They've been in business for over 7 decades now, and serving you 7:30 to 5 Monday through Friday. I urge you to stop in or give them a call. 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley, Ramsey Heating and Electric, where they provide warm winters and cool summers. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. I hope you had a wonderful weekend. And to get right into what I was going to say, those people who signed the Declaration of Independence were really true heroes.
Oh, they were the bravest people I can think of. I mean, the intestinal fortitude and the fear and the not knowing if they were going to have their property, if their lives were going to be taken. They didn't know about their families. They didn't know anything. It was a complete unknown equation. And to be that brave, I mean, you know, Keith, I celebrated this weekend by looking at that red, white, and blue flag. Just sitting on my sun deck and looking at that flag and thinking about the states, thinking about all the people that gave their lives for that flag and for our country, and all the lives that were changed because of the wars and because of their getting involved, and all the greatness of this great United States. How in the world can we not be proud and stand up with tears in our eyes when we look at that flag and say our Pledge of Allegiance or listen to the national anthem?
You're absolutely right. But let's take George Floyd. He thought why do we think of him as a hero? I certainly don't.
Well, wait a minute.
Scoundrel?
Okay, wait a minute.
A criminal?
Wait a minute.
Anything else, and he did not give his life for a cause. His life was taken because he was doing something he shouldn't have.
Well, now, wait, Keith. No, I'm going to have to disagree with you. I am. When you said he's a criminal, I agree with you. Well, he was many times arrested for various crimes. Absolutely. But there was no need, and underline that word need, for the police in this instance to go overboard and take his life basically by leaning a knee on his windpipe. Now that I'm going to disagree with you on. But as far as, wait a minute. Now, as far as holding him up as a hero and holding him up as someone akin to Martin Luther King Jr. or anybody else, not even close. I agree with you on that point.
But I bet you will see the time when you'll see statues of this guy. And I think I would be one of the first ones to protest that.
Well, I think that what you're saying is already under occurrence, and unfortunately, no, I agree with you that he was a criminal, he was a felon, and he had been in many, many scrapes with the law, but as far as the excessive force taking his life, that's where I draw the line. However, I do agree with you that he is not the poster boy for the Black Lives Matter, and that's why they're having all the problems and the disdain from people like me and you.
that's absolutely right. He was a catalyst, let's put it that way, to this situation.
Yeah. Well, he's the itch.
Agree to disagree.
Yeah. No, we're not really disagreeing too far. We're basically on the same page, except that I go back to the point where all lives matter, and in this case, there was excessive force for, 8.5, 9 minutes of resting a knee and the full weight of a police officer on his neck that cut off his wind. That part was excessive. But to name him as a kind of a St. Floyd, that's ridiculous. Keith, thank you so much for breaking the ice this morning. I appreciate it.
Okay.
All right, buddy. Sean, before we take our next call, could we please have a good word for the Silver State Stampede?
Nevada's oldest rodeo, the Silver State Stampede, roars into the Elko County Fairgrounds July 10, 11, and 12. This PRCA-sanctioned rodeo brings you the thrill of pro riders going head-to-head in one of the world's toughest sports, rodeo. The action kicks off Friday evening with a delicious tri-tip dinner for just $10. Old West bronc riding, mutton busting, PRCA rodeo action, and the always popular Ring of Fear. Dance the night away to the music of the Moonshine Outlaws. And on Saturday, show your support with Tough Enough to Wear Pink. Round out the weekend with Family Day Sunday evening. The best family entertainment this side of the Rio Grande. The Silver State Stampede, July 10, 11, and 12 at the Elko County Fairgrounds. The Silver State Stampede will be following all of the Nevada governor's directives, Nevada United Roadmap to Recovery Plan, as well as the CDC guidelines. The safety of everyone is our top priority.
Thank you very much. And right now, don't forget to Dino Septic Service. You know, it's hot and you don't want to be out there pumping a septic tank. Oh, no! Let them do it. Dino Septic Service. They are the professionals and the specialists when it comes to septic tank pumping, liquid waste removal, sewer and sink drain line cleaning, backhoe services. They do it all for you. Absolutely. Call them today if you've got a problem. Fast, fair, friendly service. I know because they've worked for us. 436-6526 or 678-1638. The best. Dino Septic Service. You get a hold of them today. They'll pull in the yard with a big truck that says, smells cargo on the way. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. You know, every time I see that flag and think of the sacrifices that took place throughout history, especially when the national anthem was created, because that flag was still up at dawn's early light. But, Zeb, just look at the contrast that's occurring in this country. I'm sure you watched the festivities at Mount Rushmore Friday night.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been to Mount Rushmore at least a half a dozen times, and there is something sacred about that location and what took place, and those four great Americans that are up on Mount Rushmore, and Trump outlined that. But you take the state of South Dakota and contrast it to how the leadership there, the governor versus the governor in our state and most states, they were wide open. They let individual responsibility. If you're vulnerable, you protect yourself. But as far as their businesses have been pretty much wide open.
Yeah.
And they have the same number of deaths as Idaho. So there's something amiss with this whole thing. And basically their state, they haven't had a lot of new cases now because they have herd immunity. And there's no way when you talk to the real medical professions that they, everybody's going to be exposed to it sooner or later. And so we need to get into that herd immunity situation. But that was a fantastic evening, and I've never been there for the evening show with the lights on Mount Rushmore. But I can guarantee you, if you haven't been to Mount Rushmore, put it on your bucket.
Well, let me jump in here, Adrian, and say this. Let me say this. It was absolutely stunning to me. I've been there. And I thought his speech was absolutely outstanding. I thought what he said was absolutely outstanding. But then we have the sleazy, evil media that came out, and they have denigrated and absolutely degraded President Trump for what he said, what he did, and his being there. And I'm going to be talking a little bit more about that as the morning goes on. But I salute him, and I woke up this morning and listened to the news and heard the pollsters are saying that Trump is behind in every category with an enormous lead for Joe Biden. And I'm sitting there, and I told Deanne, I said, this has got to stop. We have got to get some sense and sensibility back into our nation, and it certainly isn't going to occur with the replacement of Trump with the idiocy of the left and Joe Biden.
Well, those polls also predicted Hillary was going to win by a landslide.
Yeah, but I'm not worried. Adrian, wait a minute, dear friend, wait a minute. We can't go back and say, well, this happened 4 years ago with Hillary. No, you can't equate that saying, well, the polls showed that. No, we've got to worry about this year. We've got to worry about going to the polls this year and voting.
Yeah, we can't be. There's no. If we're complacent about it all, I mean, we've got to. I think the Trump base is energized. Joe Biden's base, according to the polls, is not energized. That tells me a lot.
Well,
if it wasn't for the corrupt, despicable mainstream media, Joe Biden wouldn't get 10%. But like I said, but the media is so Marxist-oriented now. I mean, and that's the whole Black Lives Movement. Is the head of that is a Marxist.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Adrian. I've got to go. I've got to make it fair for everybody.
We need to energize all of our friends, get our church friends to get involved.
Yeah,
everybody needs to get involved. We need to be writing congressmen, senators, emails, phone calls. Yeah, the governor's office is still 334-2100. Give him a call and say, open it up. And I just heard this morning, Kimberly Good Neighbor Days has been canceled.
No, it's a shame. It's absolutely a shame.
I mean,
I got to run, Adrian. I just can't go on and on and on. I got business. I've got to take other calls. But you're right. You're 100% right. But we got to share a little time with other folks too. Waiting. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
But anyway, it's a great nation. I appreciate all that you do, and we've got to be involved. It takes the 10% to really make the difference, and so let's be part of that 10%.
All right. Thank you.
Makes the difference, and have a great day.
All right.
God bless America.
Thank you. God bless America is right. I appreciate that. Caller, I'll be right there. Don't forget Denny's Restaurant at 611 North Overland in Burley, and another location at 291 Pole Line Road in Twin Falls. I mean, I'm talking delicious menu choices, breakfast, lunch, dinner, and all the desserts anytime, all the time. Oh, they really pride themselves on serving you great food, and they pride themselves on excellent service with great people to work with at Denny's Restaurant, America's Diner. I urge you to stop in today and just enjoy a nice meal at Denny's Restaurant. It's the home of Zeb's Lunch Bunch, and we're proud to be a part of it. America's Diner at 611 North Overland in Burley, Denny's Restaurant. Caller, thank you for your patience. Go ahead, please. Thank you.
Yes, I agree with you. You can't ignore the polls. You can't just take it for granted that things are going to go the way they did 4 years ago. You can't do it. It doesn't matter. When you're in a fight, you fight to win. You don't fight to just break even.
That's right.
Either win or nothing. And with that, I have to say these people who are on the left pushing for all these social agendas and socialism and voting for Biden, and, it's a simple saying I picked up from a friend of mine. You play stupid games. You win stupid prizes for being stupid. Whether you're trying to wrestle a firearm away from a police officer, whether you decide to kneel on somebody and take their life because you're just incompetent at what you're doing, or whether you decide to race downtown Burley during rush hour at full speed. You play stupid games. You win stupid prizes. Unfortunately, innocent people get hurt in the process, or, people who shouldn't be hurt. And that's what it comes down to, people being stupid, not using the common sense their God and their mother and their father gave them. And they're just reacting to to react to get what they want.
I couldn't agree more. I could not agree more. I mean, the stupidity in this nation right now, and I'm not saying all people. I'm saying that a lot of them, and by the way, Sean, I got a little feedback coming down the line, if you would. But the stupidity in this nation to think that they want to transition this to a socialist nation and bring the likes of Elizabeth Warren, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Susan Rice, and Joe Biden into leadership, oh my goodness, Katie, bar the door.
Do they really think, let's think the Congress people you just said, okay? Do those people really think that after socialism is enacted that they're going to be held in a high and mighty place? Do they honestly believe that? Because if they do, they are even more out of touch with reality than I suspect.
Yeah.
Because that's just not how socialism works. There's a few at the top, very few at the top, that get the best of everything. And then everybody from there down has to kneel and grovel and kiss butt and all this other stuff to get a slice of that pie. And the people doing the work to build that pie are getting a very meager crumb. And if they think that's how it is, God, I wish they would go back to school and actually teach history and teach how this stuff actually works. It's ridiculous.
Absolutely.
It is very ridiculous. I'm 40 years old. I'm a young man yet compared to most people. However, use your common sense, folks, when you go to vote for things like this.
Absolutely.
Use your sense that you were born with.
Riley, I appreciate it, old buddy. Take care of yourself. Thank you again for a very good phone call. Thank you so much. Caller number 2, you're on the air quickly. I'm going to give away some cookies in about 3 minutes. Go ahead, please.
It is quickly. And I'm sorry, I wanted to ask a question about the Constitution. Do you have any idea, have you ever heard why Rhode Island did not send a delegate to the Constitutional Convention? They're the only one of the 13 that did not.
You know what? I'll have to rely on looking that up. And, oh, boy, have we got a bunch of feedback coming down the line to me this morning. All of a sudden, I lost you there for a second. Rhode Island. That's a very interesting story, and I will look that up, and I will be your history teacher tomorrow on the program.
Thank you, thank you.
God bless you. Thank you. Appreciate it. Let's go and give some cookies away quickly. I am running so late, and then we'll take some more calls. We're going to give away a dozen cookies, and callers, stand by. I'll be right with you, I promise. I got to do this. And we're going to give away a dozen cookies to Sophie's Chatterbox at 530 East Street in Rupert, right on the square. What a delicious restaurant. What a delicious bakery. All the cookies and the muffins and the cakes and the pies and oh, it's tremendous. Here's the question for today, and the first person that calls in with the right answer is going to win the cookies, okay? What was Al's last name on the TV series Home Improvements? What was Al's last name on the TV series Home Improvements? First person to call and give me the answer is going to win a dozen cookies. So quick, give me a call at 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. What was Al's last name on the TV series Home Improvements? It was a long-running sitcom, and a good one, and Tim Allen the star. But what was Al's last name, his character last name on that show? Quickly, somebody give me a call. Now, I think we have a caller on the air waiting, and caller, go ahead, please. You're on the air. Quickly, fast.
Yeah, Zeb, I think you're a little lethargic this morning. I'll give you a shot of adrenaline. Ask your opinion about the Black National Anthem in the NFL. That ought to get you going.
I have nothing to say, hardly at all, about the NFL, the NBA, or Major League Baseball for the way that they are conducting themselves, and I find this pathetic that they are catering and they are kowtowing to a movement with the Black Lives Matter. I'm going to have more on that later on, sir, and yes, you did get my blood flowing. Thank you very much. God bless you. Thanks. Caller, good morning. You're on the air. Do you know the answer to the question?
Yes, it's Al Borland.
Who's calling?
You're going to have to turn your radio off, please.
When you call, folks, you can't have your radio going because it just absolutely blows my headsets right off my head.
I got it off.
Okay. What's your name?
Ross Newcomb.
Well, Ross, how in the world are you? Yes, it was Al Borland.
You know what? I'm just doing peachy fuzzy fun and that, other than we're working out here on an airstrip right now trying to get ready for spraying some spuds because things are absolutely looking like maybe they will start growing.
No, I'm telling you, I looked at some of the fields here the last couple of days, Ross, around my area. Woo, they look good. They look good going into the fall. It's going to be a great crop, I think.
I hope it is, because we replanted some beets up to 4 times, and I finally talked to the main boys, and I says, we better take the planters off so we can start working on maybe hopefully putting up the diggers.
There you go. Ross, please get a hold of Sophie's.
Thank you so much.
You bet. Get a hold of Sophie's and tell them when you're coming in for your cookies, and you are the winner. It was Al Borland. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you so much.
You bet.
Zeb.
Thank you. All right, calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I want to talk next, after I do this commercial break, about one of the most despicable human beings that is a former NFL quarterback, and I have no use, underline those words, no use for this young man. None. I find him to be nothing but the lowest of humanity for his attitudes and the thing that he says. He wants to get back into the NFL. I hope no team will stoop low enough to give him a position on their roster. I'll talk more about that in just a moment. Oakley Pioneer Days, holy smokes, they start on July 10th and they go all the way through the 18th. Holy smokes, are they going to have some ripping good times? I'm telling you, they're going to have the 12th annual Bump and Rub Car Race on July 10th and 11th, Friday and Saturday, coming up this next weekend. And then, of course, they're going to have all kinds of fun with the Gymkhana on July 16th, Open Rodeo July 17 and 18, great big, huge Pioneer Day Parade on the 18th. You don't want to miss a minute of it, and there's so much more to talk about with our good friends up in Oakley for Pioneer Days. Please don't forget to be a part of it. They really put out a great, fun, festive event at Oakley Pioneer Days. Going to be great. All right, calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I'm very prejudiced against this man, and I absolutely wish, honestly, this is a wish, that if he does come back to the NFL, I can only wish and dream that I could be a 300-pound defensive end and have a clear shot at Colin Kaepernick. He came out in the last couple of days and denounced the 4th of July Independence Day holiday as a celebration of white supremacy. And this is what the commissioner and other football players and teams and team owners are looking at when they think about even reinstating him into the NFL. It's absolutely disgusting. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, sir.
My friend.
When you go to the NFL, are you chosen by your color, your race, or are you chosen by your abilities and what you can give to the team?
I think you know the answer to that. I mean, it's an open-end question. Naturally, if you can run a 4.340 or whatever and you can hit like a Mack truck, I don't think color has anything to do with it.
Exactly. And what was Colin Kaepernick's position on the 49ers when he started taking a knee?
What do you mean? He was the starting quarterback. Actually, he was the runner-up.
He was second string.
Yeah, he was second string at that juncture. Yes, you're right.
Yes. So he wasn't good enough to be on the field. Yeah, he was good enough to be there in case the the main man got hurt.
Yeah, but Doug, that's all petty when you think about the gist of the whole story. Here's a kid that absolutely was given a lot of privilege in his athletic career and his educational career. He was given a lot of privilege. And to have him turn on everyone that helped him along the way, including his parents, his step-parents, I should say, is absolute nonsense for this young man, and he's still a young man, to come out and say that we are just now celebrating this past weekend a celebration of white supremacy, denigrating the entirety of the Independence Day weekend. Now, here's the thing, Doug, that we all need to be concerned about. I couldn't care less if he was a starter or if he's a bench warmer. He was still paid millions and millions of dollars in a country that absolutely he wouldn't be playing this in any other country, any other part of the world, and making that kind of money. He would be a nothing burger.
Exactly. And didn't he join the Muslim religion, Islam?
There are reports to that, yes.
And doesn't Islam still own black slaves?
Well, I mean, if you want to make this a question and answer period, you know all the answers to the questions you're talking about. And if you want to get right down to the basics, wait a minute. If you want to get down to the basics and tenets of Islam and being a Muslim, holy cow, we could take 14 programs without any stop or any commercial break, and we could talk about all the dangers of that faith and that religion.
Well, what I'm getting at, the point I'm going to make is he's protesting a justice against black men. Okay? If he wants to protest justice against the blacks, then where is he on the Muslim religion? Where is he on Chicago? Where is he on New York? Where is he on Atlanta? All these shootings, blacks killing blacks. Where does he stand on that?
I looked at the weekend, and what you're saying is 100% true. Whether it was Baltimore, whether it was St. Louis, whether it was New York, whether it was Chicago, Atlanta, I mean, all the shootings, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of needless, mindless shootings, and all the murders, especially little children. What in the hell is going on in this country?
That's exactly it. The blacks are killing the blacks, but yet none of the people that want black justice and Black Lives Matter, that don't matter to them.
How can you feel sympathetic? I'm just going to throw this at you. How can you possibly feel sympathetic towards Black Lives Matter as a Marxist communist promotional group when they are absolutely demanding or they're going to burn and loot? They closed down the main freeway between Washington, D.C. and Virginia, and they created a total havoc situation with people trying to go to 4th of July Independence Day activities and be with their families and everything. I feel no allegiance to helping them or saying one doggone good thing about Black Lives Matter.
I don't either. And what everybody needs to do is go to their website and look up what they stand for.
That's right.
What they want. And if you want that in America, yes, give them your support. But if you don't want that in America, then you need to stand up against them.
Why is everybody duped? I mean, as far as putting on the possibility of insignias on jerseys, Black Lives Matter, putting an insignia of Black Lives Matter on basketball courts. I mean, why? Why? What's going on here, my friend?
Well, it is the cancel society.
Yep.
This is the generation of parents that raise their kids with the timeouts instead of the butt beatings and teaching them respect for other people.
I can't argue that.
Teaching them the values of America and what America has truly done for the world.
Absolutely. No, and I got to say this real quick. Caller number 2, don't go away. Did you hear about the idiocy going on in Ohio right now? You're not going to believe this. In Cleveland, Ohio, they toppled the statue of Christopher Columbus over the last 4 or 5 days. But the people said that they wanted a new statue put up, and I'm not making this up, folks, of Chef Boyardee.
I heard that. And that is proof that there's a lot of liberals running around out there that is unmedicated.
They've got spaghetti for brains, let me tell you. Doug, got to run. Hey, I really appreciate the conversation. Thank you, Doug. Appreciate it.
You bet.
Thank
hey, everybody, let's do what we can for our senior centers. Let's support them. Let's, help them out what they can. And also, let's get on our knees and pray for our nation and pray that God will protect those that are trying to bring this nation back to a godly.
Amen. Amen to that. Doug, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Caller, I'll be right there. Barry Equipment and Rental Sales, Service and Parts. 3 locations to serve you. 159 West Highway 30 in Burley and 465 Addison Avenue West in Twin, Eli and the crew, and the Nampa location for all the equipment you need for the lifting, the digging, the pushing, the carrying. You better believe it. They've got all the Doosan wheel loaders and the excavators and fantastic financing rates and lease programs. You check it out today. A brand new inventory for this year, all at Barry Equipment and Rental in Burley, Twin Falls, and Nampa. You stop in and see those good folks today. Barry Equipment and Rental. Caller, you've been very patient. Thank you very much.
Yes. I've been waiting to call in. I've listened to Keith this morning when he got on the radio, and I have to agree with Keith. I don't think we need to be making heroes out of people that were accidentally murdered. There's people that put their life on the line, like our law enforcement officers, our policemen, our firemen, people that do that kind of work. They are the heroes. These guys that get accidentally murdered because somebody's careless, I just cannot in any way go along with making a hero out of them and letting as many people die and as much damage has been done by these people since that happened. It's just ridiculous as far as I'm concerned. I'll get it out of the way. You have a wonderful day. May the Lord bless.
God bless you, Jerry. I appreciate your comments. You always call. You're a faithful listener, and I appreciate that. Thank you. Your thoughts are welcome. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I had a chance to go to a couple of special events over the last couple of days for the Independence Day, 4th of July weekend. And it was fantastic. And there was everybody that was so nice. And they were so optimistic. And they were so patriotic. I mean, I saw flags all over. I talked to people that just absolutely loved this great country of America for what it could do, what it has done, and what it can do in the future. And there's still a lot of pride in America. There's still a lot of pride here in America. But the evil, sinister, absolutely garbage left, and they are garbage, are trying to tear this country apart and turn this country upside down. You don't get what you want? Mob riots, chaos, absolutely burning and looting and demonstrating and stopping people from trying to get to their jobs, stopping people from trying to get to the hospital. This is not the way to do things. This is not the way to make your point in trying to have people have a little sympathy for what your cause is. I have none. Do not ever come on this program and advocate Black Lives Matter. You will see a junkyard dog coming after you. I absolutely want to point out to parents that have kids, younger kids, that are marching for Black Lives Matter, protesting for Black Lives Matter. Find out who in the dickens these people are and what they stand for. Don't take my word for it. Look it up. Find out in their own words. They are a Marxist communist organization bent on the destruction of this country, its values, and its Constitution. It's about high time that we all restored some pride in being Americans. You're not going to get that pride by voting Democrat. You're not going to get that pride by possibly, and I hope it doesn't come to fruition, putting someone the likes of Joe Biden in as president. and all the other hangers-on to Joe Biden, like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Susan Rice, a very pronounced liar, Elizabeth Warren, she's a kook that spells her name with capital letters, kook. Please, folks, wake up and smell the coffee. Caller, good morning. I'll take your call before the weather. Go ahead, please.
Okay, I'd like to mention something about heroes who don't even know they are. And they're the people who sponsor your program. They may be ridiculed by some, but they are truly appreciative of what they're able to do to further our cause. Is that correct?
I cannot at all say thanks enough for all the advertisements and the sponsorships that are on this program, because these people had the backbone. They've got backbone. Let's call it what it is. And they've got a tough attitude that they're going to stand up for what's right and help promote my program. I, like you, say thank you to each and every one of them.
Yeah, and I think when you go there, they should mention your name so they know they're getting a buck for their bang or whatever you say.
Well,
it's just wonderful that we're able to have talk shows like yours.
Well,
and you do a great job.
I appreciate that, Keith, and it's not just me. I mean, there's other people involved, as you know, my lovely wife, and so many people behind the scenes providing a lot of the information and everything. And so your remarks are very well appreciated, and thank you very much. You and Nancy are especially good folks, and thank you.
You bet.
All right, sir.
The Lord bless you.
I appreciate it, and right back at you. Thank you much. Caller, please, would you stand by just 60 seconds? I've got to get this on the air. I want to remind everybody about our weather forecast. Going to get hot, going to get hot. Yes, it is, and our weather brought to you by Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. Where are they? I thought you'd never ask. Right behind the Minidoka Hospital, across from the emergency room, and the number to call, these hearing professionals that can help you. 312-0957. That number again, 312-0957, Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. And right now, here's the lovely Gina with the weather.
For the first week of July, it's going to be kind of a warm one. Here's a look at your weather forecast. For today, we are expecting sunny skies, high close to 91, a slight breeze out of the south-southwest at about 5 miles an hour. For tonight, mostly clear skies with a low of 57. Tomorrow, sunny. It will be cooling off just a little bit, only to a high of 80 with an overnight low of 52. By Wednesday, sunny skies, high of 82. Then by Thursday, going to be warming back up to about 90 degrees. Friday, high of 90 as well. Then for the weekend, looks like we're going to be stuck in the 90s. That's what's your weather for 7th Rand.
If you have noticed a diminishment in your hearing, you'd better give them a call at Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. They can and they will help you. Always providing the expert diagnostic testing combined with the best technology to help your hearing health. Absolutely. Number to call, 312-0957. Caller, you've been so patient. Thank you very much. Go ahead, please.
You bet. And I just got one more statement on what about unborn black lives? Do they matter?
You know, when you start talking about abortions and the basically diminishment of value of human life, their numbers in that community are staggering.
Exactly. It's terrible what these people are pushing that is legal and right, because it's, you know, and I'm sure there's a lot of women out there that's going to get upset, but you have authority over your body. I have authority over my body. But that fetus inside of you is not your body. It has a separate DNA. It has a separate heart. It has a separate brain.
You know, Doug, when we start talking about abortion, we could go on and on with my getting madder and madder about a subject that really hurts me is the absolute total disrespect for the unborn in this United States of America. And it's kind of a two-sided coin. There's been a developing disrespect for life on the unborn and also a complete disrespect for the elderly, and it's almost like only the fit should survive.
That's what it seems like, and wasn't that what Nazi was trying to do?
Oh, gee, yeah, I think I remember that.
Wasn't it? They're supposed to be the perfect race. If you weren't blonde hair, blue eyes, you weren't good enough.
Yeah.
You know, so everybody needs to pray for this nation because it's been led in the wrong direction, and we have a president right now who is trying to turn the ship around, and the swamp creatures are trying to stop them.
I'm going to say this, Doug, that if Biden is elected as president, I can honestly say that I will not continue the fight against him or the left or the sleaze or the evil after the inauguration in January. I don't want to be a part of a radio program that absolutely every day has to worry about Biden and the left and how evil they are, because I'm trying to tell everybody how evil they are right now, and the poll numbers scare me. And everybody says, well, don't worry about the polls because Trump was behind against Hillary. No, that's bogus. We do have to worry about the polls right now because of the manipulation of numbers and the manipulation of voters.
Exactly. A poll means nothing. You can take people that have been doing polls for years, and I've heard them say that they can take the numbers and manipulate it by asking question.
That's right.
And manipulate the outcome.
That's right. I am very concerned. I'm just going to go on record as saying I'm very concerned about this next election because A, I don't trust the left, B, I don't trust the left, and C, I don't trust the left. They are evil, they are sinister, and they're criminal. Now, how much more can I be explicit?
Well, it's true because they have learned they can't win on policies and what they're going to do to help the American people. They can win by cheating, by getting people to vote in several different states or wherever, and illegals to vote. That's how they can win.
Well, let me ask you this question. Let me ask you this. Have you, and I know you watch the news a lot, okay, and you read a lot. Have you, and please be honest, if I'm wrong, I want to be told I'm wrong. Have you honestly seen a dissertation that has been written or heard a speech that has been given by Biden or anyone on the Democratic Party explaining how the Green New Deal or the going to a single-payer insurance program is going to benefit the masses here in the United States? No, you have not.
No, you haven't. They keep saying it's your constitutional right to health care. Well, it's a human right to have health care, but it's not. I've never seen it in the Constitution.
Amen.
I mean, they keep saying this is against the Constitution, that's against the Constitution. Well, the ones that are doing this, I don't think they know what the Constitution means. And that's why I've said over again, anybody who gets elected to an office must pass a civics test before they can take the oath.
I don't think many would pass, Doug. I've got to do a commercial, but I do appreciate your comment. Thank you very much.
I know a lot of them won't pass.
Amen.
Remember, keep praying for this nation. God bless.
Amen. Thank you. Want to give a great big shout out to our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. And I mean that. A great big shout out to the best of anybody in that industry. They are your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. And they care. They really care about your safety. They care about the peace of mind tire protection. They care about making sure that the tires for your vehicles are the best, whether it's your car, pickup, SUV, horse trailer, boat trailer, whatever it might be. And they've got the best in brake service, front end alignment, shocks and struts and batteries. And, of course, very, very devoted service to you on the farm or the dairy. They'll be there. They'll get you fixed up. All you need to do is check with James in Buell, Dan on Pole Line in Twin Falls, Lane and Rupert, Mike and Jerome, Dave on Blue Lakes in Twin Falls, and the Twist family over in Paul, and Trent on Overland in Burley. They care. They're the professionals, too, and the best in tires for your safe driving. Your Magic Valley, Les Schwab Tire Centers. We are going to get out of here for a few minutes and then come back with Rick Manning, and can't wait to talk to him. And then at 9:30, Pacific Legal Foundation, Daniel Ortner. And then at 10:06 this morning, don't miss it, he's back. I love having this man on the air, Dr. Gerard Lamero. All of that coming up in the next couple of hours on Zeb at the Ranch. Right now, the news, oh goody, from CBS. Oh my. There's so much we have to be concerned about. Morning, everybody. Zeb at the Ranch, and, of course, brought to you by our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations serving you, safe, clean environment, and the best in tires. And don't forget, too, Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. Right now, let's go to the phone line. Oh, we're not going to go to the phone line yet. We've got to have, we've got to have this good word for Western Waste.
From the canyons of the Snake River and all across southern Idaho, we're all at the Georgia struggle. Western Waste Services, we care about our community, our resources, and this great land. Western Waste Services is lending a hand, always at your disposal.
Western Waste Services, they are the best. What more can I say? End of advertisement. That's all. I mean, they are the best at what they do in taking care of your garbage. You need to have the route service? Well, once a week they come by, get your garbage. It's gone. It's out of there. All you have to do is just give them a call. Get on the route service at 734-6969. Western Waste Services, always at your disposal. Great, great people. Sean, could we please have the good word for the Silver State Stampede?
The thunder of hooves, the thrill of the crowd, family entertainment at its best when the Silver State Stampede roars into Elko July 10, 11, and 12 at the Elko County Fairgrounds. Bring the family and enjoy 3 big days of PRCA rodeo action, along with the Old West bronc riding, mini bull riding, the Acopper Riders, mutton busting, the world-famous Ring of Fear, and dance the night away to the music of the Moonshine Outlaws. Get your advance tickets today at J.M. Capriola Company, IFA, the Boot Barn, Roy's, and the Elko Chamber of Commerce. The best in the West is waiting for you at the 2020 Silver State Stampede, July 10, 11, and 12. Don't miss it. For more information, visit us at silverstatestampede.com. Silver State Stampede will be following all of the Nevada Governor's directives, Nevada United Roadmap to Recovery Plan, as well as the CDC guidelines. The safety of everyone is our top priority.
Thank you very much. And don't forget, too, our friends at Hanson Mortuary at 710 6th Street in Rupert, absolutely serving you and your family. Joel Heward, family, staff, all there serving you with very flexible hours so that they can take the very best care of your families and all the families that they serve with the best support and comfort, and always upholding the highest ethical standards with unquestioned integrity. I urge you to call and find out more. 436-5636. That number again, 436-5636. Hanson Mortuary in Rupert. And Joel Heward also serving you and your family at Morrison Payne Funeral Home on East Main in Burley. It's Monday, and I don't even know where to start. I'm so blessed to have this gentleman be a part of our program, and we're going to try to shake things out of the bag and see what hits the floor. Good morning to the president of Americans for Limited Government, Rick Manning. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing well, Zeb. How are you?
Well, I'm great, and it's so much of a treat to talk to you and find out what's happening in your part of the world. I have heard and read stories that the Black Lives Matter just basically tried to destroy any kind of travel over the weekend by closing down an important thoroughfare between D.C. and Virginia. Can you bring us up to speed on that?
Well, actually, that actually is news to me. So because I don't stay in D.C. when I live in the way far out suburbs where it's normal. Mm-hmm. But it certainly wouldn't surprise me. They've been pretty aggressive in attempting to block traffic around the country. We saw the situation where they were blocking a freeway in Seattle, and a driver who was fleeing from the police, basically ran into their protests and killing a woman. So it's not unusual for them to attempt to do die-ins and various other things on major thoroughfares to try to disrupt traffic. But this dirty little secret around D.C. right now is that there's no traffic. Okay. People aren't traveling, so the tourists aren't here, and the federal government. We had all this hubbub about the federal government shutting down on a number of occasions. Well, the federal government shut down in terms of the public employees who are coming into work. They aren't coming into work. So this area is you could block roadways and nobody would know it.
Okay. Rick, let me ask you, we're seeing war zones. I think that's a fair assessment. Yep. War zones in Atlanta and, of course, other cities, whether it's Baltimore, Chicago, New York City, St. Louis, etc. I mean, war zones, shootings and killings in the hundreds and hundreds in every city. I mean, is it time, honestly, for the federal government and Trump to say, thumbs down, that's it, we're coming in?
In places like Atlanta and St. Louis, it's different than in, say, New York and Chicago in a very simple way. Governor can call out the National Guard, and where there's a Republican governor, like in Georgia or in Missouri, they can call out the National Guard to assist the efforts in the states without having any legal challenges. It's a little more complicated in places where you have a Democrat governor, where they might actually sue and say, no, you can't call out the National Guard in our state. We are the head of the National Guard for all activity that goes on in our state, and constitutionally they'd be right. So it's a tricky situation when it comes to New York, Chicago. Places like that where you have a Democrat governor and Democrat mayors, Washington State and Seattle. If something were to occur in California, those kind of states, it's the Constitution's designed where the federal government really has to be a really, really out of control situation for the federal government to step in, and I don't know that it would be upheld by the Supreme Court allowing it. So the problem is there's not a lot he can do. What he can do is he can protect federal property. What he can do is he can protect. So if there's federal monuments and the like, he can have the U.S. Marshal Service to protect those monuments. And throughout Washington, D.C., there are a lot of federal monuments. And as a result, that would be he can do that. But in terms of your hands are a little bit tied by the fact that federalism part of government, where states have primacy in their own backyard when it comes to protection and criminal enforcement of criminal laws.
Absolutely. Rick, I'm seeing from all the people I've talked to around the United States, and I've talked to a lot of people the last couple of days in California, Wisconsin, down south, etc., Texas, And I'm seeing an animosity that is growing in this country against the group Black Lives Matter, and their perpetual of going out and burning, looting, and demanding that they get their way. The hatred for us, the whites in the society. And then, of course, the statement that was made by former San Francisco 49er quarterback Colin Kaepernick saying that the 4th of July Independence Day celebration is a celebration of white supremacy. I got to tell you something, Rick. I wish now I could be coming back as a 300-pound defensive end, and he was back in the NFL, Kaepernick, and I had a free shot at the quarterback.
Well, he might be the reason T.J. Watt comes back to play.
Amen.
After all of his injuries. But assuming, because I think Kaepernick will get a job in the NFL this year. It won't be because he deserves it. It'll be because the NFL has gone full woke on it, and they'll do it to satisfy the most activist members of their players union. But nonetheless, there's a lot of animus and there's a lot of concern. And when you see these people tearing down statues and doing, and just basically destroying private property, destroying public property, with no regard whatsoever for anybody else's feelings. When you see a couple, by the way, a very liberal couple, sitting there with their house because they didn't bow to Black Lives Matter the way somebody thought they should, are now having to defend their house, and they can't even hire private security because private security won't handle it because it's too dangerous, and the city's not helping in terms of protecting them, and so they're ending up in a situation where they literally having to defend their house with their own arms with no assistance whatsoever from the government or private security. If you start seeing stuff like that, it scares the heck out of people, and it should. And we've got and I believe, and when people always want to do their polling and all that, I believe that's the single biggest reason why Donald Trump is going to win overwhelmingly, because Joe Biden and the left have shown who they are. And when you show, and people have had enough. My biggest concern is that people say, I've had enough, and they start taking it into their own hands, because it is that's what they want. The left wants our country to evolve into anarchy, and because at some point, if we end up in that kind of circumstance, you will see some of the foreign interests that would like to see the Black Lives Matter people win, the Marxists win. Those foreign interests will begin intervening in that fight. And so you're not going to be fighting against some stupid kid in the basement. You're going to be fighting against the Chinese army. I mean, that's the reality of a civil war. So let's try to avoid that. It makes me mad. I expect my local officials and my police to enforce the law. And in those places where they don't, the president should basically say, I'm not going to give them any money. It should say, no, there's lots of federal money go to states for policing. If those cities don't enforce the law, the president should withhold the money and let the states sue. But they need to hold the money up and say, no, you don't get it. You're not enforcing the law.
We have a caller with a question and a comment. Go ahead, caller, quickly. You're on the air.
Okay, good morning, Zeb and guest. These states that are controlled by the Democrats, when they receive all this damage, and they're asking for federal money to repay the damage, doesn't this change the ball game? Doesn't this put the government in control of that particular state?
Well, that's a great point. If the federal government were to bail them out, they declare emergencies and then provide monies. They can put a contingency that the National Guard do certain things and the like. So they can create strings to that. I don't see a lot of willingness on the part of the White House to to bail out cities that allowed people to destroy them. Minneapolis wants a bunch of money and to be rebuilt, and and the White House is saying, wait a second, you let these people destroy your city, and now you just eliminated the police department, and now you want the federal government to put money in to rebuild the city when you don't have a police department. So there's a, but yes, in terms of if there was a bailout of some sort or emergency declared, conditions could be put into place that force them to call out the National Guard to deal with lawbreakers and property destroyers.
Thank you, Tony.
Thank you, sir.
Appreciate your call, Tony. Thank you very much. Rick, you mentioned just a minute ago that you still feel that Donald Trump will win convincingly in November, but I've got to kind of hold your feet to the fire there a little bit with an explanation. Along with saying that, are you, like me, very concerned about the increasing numbers of evil that's going on in this country? I mean, I've never seen anything like this.
I haven't either. There's no doubt that evil has been emboldened. It's been emboldened because when it first raised its head, nobody said no. They were quote unquote protesters, peaceful protesters who just happened to break stuff and hurt people. And because they were emboldened, because corporate America bowed to them, no matter what bad actions they took, they were emboldened, and they continued doing it, and it has escalated. I think a lot of those corporations are maybe wishing they hadn't done certain things, but yeah, it concerns the heck out of me. What we're seeing is basically the results of a generation that never got spanked. And timeouts in the corner don't seem to have taken hold. So it's a problem, and it's a big problem, and it's not just a big problem for now. I think we win now. It's a big problem in 4 years. It's a big problem in 10 years, when the people who are kicking and screaming on the streets are suddenly the same people who are running your government. That's when it's a big problem. We've already have those people, a lot of those people in places. Heck, we've got somebody who was trained in Venezuela as the DA in San Francisco. So, we've got some huge problems around the country of people who are voting in, people who are not, by any measure, competent to do the job they're being elected to do, and it's going to get worse before it gets better, because once again, unless the millennials grow up, it's going to be they're going to continue to do that, and they're going to forget that security matters, that their own personal security is ultimately what matters most. So, yes, it's a problem, and I'm very concerned about it, and there's not a night that my wife doesn't say, snap out of it, it's going to be okay. God's in control. My wife says it almost every single night to me as I go home grousing about this stuff.
I absolutely. You and your wife and my wife must be sisters. Anyway, I want to ask you one other thing this morning. That over the weekend, I had an opportunity, like I have for most of my life, to witness a lot of the rural respect for our Independence Day celebration. A lot of the cowboy attitude, a lot of the rodeo attitude. They're not going to kneel. They're not going to take a knee. They're not going to shove their fist in the air. They're going to be out there saluting and absolutely respecting our flag and this great country. And when I see this, it restores a great pride in America and its citizens. How do we get that to go through our school systems again? How do we get that to go in our families again? A respect and a pride for the greatest country of every time, America.
Well, I'll tell you, there's one simple thing that can be done, is every kid should be saying the Pledge of Allegiance.
Yes.
And at least when I was growing up, and it was a long time ago, but I can remember we'd stand up, we'd say the Pledge of Allegiance, and then we'd sing a patriotic song.
Yes.
God bless America, My Country 'Tis of Thee, whatever song it was, we'd sing it. And then we'd get down and we'd start doing schoolwork. And it was kind of the beginning of our day. Everything, now they took the prayer out of it, but we did the other two things. And that no longer exists in the schools. And the first thing we need to do is make sure our kids are saying, and this is something that school boards can do, make sure your kids are saying the Pledge of Allegiance before the school, before class, first period, or at the beginning of if it's primary grades, beginning of the school classroom. And I would even restore the singing of a patriotic song.
Absolutely.
That sets the agenda. And when you don't do that, you basically are not providing kids with a baseline understanding of the blessings that they have.
Absolutely. I had a teacher tell me on the program about a year ago, the pledge takes too much time in the morning. 17 seconds? 17 seconds.
Yeah, well, that's the big fraud. It's they've deliberately gotten away from these things under the guise of the tight school curriculum. This is once again a school board decision.
Yes,
and school board should mandate it. And if individual teachers don't want to do it, they then can, their union can sue. And, ultimately the question will be who pays the bills. And since it is a state issue, it'll go to your state courts. And I suspect your state courts are a lot better than the Ninth Circuit. And so you would be, but we just have to fight the battle.
Amen.
They've incrementally changed the game so that doesn't happen. They didn't tell anybody. They didn't have a vote. Nobody voted on taking that out of the schools. They just did it. And so now, and by they, I mean it's largely the school boards and the teachers union allowed it to occur. So you have to demand that your school board get off their tails and start protecting this country.
Amen. Amen. I've got time for one call. I've got a minute and a half left. Caller, real fast. Go. You're on the air.
Well, you say, how long does it take before we see the real effects of what has happened in our schools, our parenting, our parents who don't pay attention to what's happening at the schools? And you see, we're seeing the beginnings of it. What kind of a crisis, again, I say this every day, it seems like. How long before what kind of a crisis is it going to take for the children, the parents, people to wake up and save their country? But it may have to be too late before they realize what they've lost. Thanks.
Respond to the caller quickly, Rick, if you would.
I think if people don't respond to what we've just seen, there's no crisis that will be large enough to get them to.
Absolutely.
We've seen what's going on. And people may not know what to do, but I think we've seen what's going on. And so now leaders have to start saying things that can be done to fix it. And that's why I'm saying the first step is to get the Pledge of Allegiance back in school, which is easy to do, and your school board can do it. It's something every single parent can call up their school board and demand.
Absolutely. My friend, Rick Manning, president of Americans for Limited Government, always a real plus on the show on Mondays. God bless you, my friend, and happy belated 4th of July Independence Day weekend.
Happy Independence Day. I'm saying Independence Day from now on, not 4th of July, because that's a date. Independence Day is what it's about.
Absolutely. Thank you, my friend. Take care. Talk to you next Monday. Thank you. I always enjoy having him on the air, and that's the truth. It's not the 4th of July. It's Independence Day. That's what we celebrate on the 4th of July. Oh, my. I want to remind you about Denny's Restaurant. Oh, good eating, good eating, good eating. Absolutely delicious food, breakfast, lunch, dinner, anytime, all the desserts. And, of course, if you go in there for the breakfast, you've got to try those strawberry crepes. Oh, delicious, Deanne's favorite. And don't forget the service. Absolutely nice people serving you at Denny's Restaurant at 611 North Overland in Burley, and another location at 291 Pole Line Road in Twin Falls. You check it out today, and don't forget they are America's Diner and the home of Zeb's Lunch Bunch. We would absolutely welcome you to Denny's Restaurant, and don't forget our lunch bunch. I'll be coming up with the date of our next lunch bunch in just a moment. Not just a moment, just a matter of a few days, and we'll be broadcasting that at Denny's Restaurant, 611 North Overland in Burley. Also want to remind you, too, about our friends at Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. Nick Greenwell and his staff, they are absolutely the best at helping you after a surgery or after an accident to recoup and get back to being you. Call them for an appointment right now today, 678-1191. That number again, 678-1191. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation. And Nick Greenwell also has Elite Fitness at 1200 Oakley Avenue in Burley, and that, of course, caring for your fit self at Elite Fitness. All of this to make you and help you become a better, more healthier person. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation and Elite Fitness. Thank you very much. Caller, I'm going to have to ask you to be really, really quick. I've got a guest waiting. Go ahead, fast. You're on the air.
I just want to tell you that I grew up in, the sixth generation of being an American, and I'll tell you what, my heart just pounds when I hear the Pledge of Allegiance and our national anthem. I come tear up. And I love this country so much.
Thank you.
And I've tried to teach my children to feel that way. And I even have some grandkids coming up. And they're all patriots.
There you go. God bless you for your call. You're always welcome on this show. Thank you very, very much. Appreciate that. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Nice lady right there. Real quick, I want to remind you, too, about Let's Ride, 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World. Oh, my. They've got all the fun over there, all the side-by-sides, all the four-wheelers. Oh, you got to get out of Dodge City and get up in the hills and have some fun. I'm telling you, they're open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6, Saturdays, 9 to 2. And it's no joke. That showroom floor has all the side-by-sides and the four-wheelers. I don't know how they got it all in there. All the accessories. And don't forget, too, to keep you running, they've got an absolutely super service department to make sure everything runs correctly. You better believe it. Let's Ride, 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World, and it's true. This is where the fun is sold. And if you're over in that area, I want to remind you, too, about our friends over at Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. Oh, boy, they were busy over the 4th of July Independence Day weekend. You better believe it. Life insurance, health insurance, retirement planning, employee benefits, all of this and so much more with our dear friend Todd and the whole crew over there. Highway 24 in Rupert, right there on the curve as you're going into town. Call them for an appointment. Yes, do this, 436-4424. 436-4424. They can and they will help you at Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. Holy moly, we got to jump to the phone line real quick. And I have with me, and I'm very blessed, attorney for the Pacific Legal Foundation, and that's Brad Ortner. Good morning. How are you? Daniel Ortner, not Brad. You know, I bet you I've had you on this program 6 or 7 times at least, and I'm so apologetic for messing up your name. I apologize.
Did you have a nice 4th of July weekend?
It was absolutely, it could not have been any better. I mean, the weather was super, and the surroundings that we had were absolutely phenomenal and very patriotic and family-oriented. What about you?
Yeah, same. I'm here in California, but we had our neighborhood did a nice little mini show on our street with little fireworks. It was really nice. My kids had a great time.
Let me ask you something real quick, Daniel. You know, the pride in America, when you look at the national news and you see these absolutely evil, hate-filled bigots, depending upon what sick organization they belong to, trying to tear down America and damn it and curse it and tear it apart, I'm so glad to hear that smaller communities are doing something or anything to fight back.
Well, you know, America stands for very lofty ideals. I think, you know, the ideals of freedom, the ideas of free speech, the ideas of debate and deliberation, and those ideas, I think, are more important than ever this 4th of July.
Well, I want to talk to you right now about a scholarship to religious school students that really went all the way to the Supreme Court. Give us the background of this case and what's going on, please.
Sure. So the U.S. Supreme Court last week decided the case of the Espinoza case. It was one of the big outstanding cases before the court. In this case in Montana, the state of Montana, the legislator passed a tax credit program where individuals could make a donation to religious schools and to private schools, and that donation was tax deductible. So it was a tax credit to them to send their children to a private school. That included religious schools and it included secular schools. The parents had the choice of where to send their child. The Montana Supreme Court, unfortunately, struck that program down. It said, no, you cannot allow aid to go to religious schools under the Montana Constitution. That is incompatible with a no-aid provision in our Constitution, so the whole program has to go. No tax credit for any parents at all because some of the money could potentially go to religious schools. That case was appealed to the U.S. Supreme Court. The U.S. Supreme Court reversed the Montana Supreme Court and said that the no-aid provision of this Constitution could not be applied to these kinds of programs because when you make money available to some organizations, you cannot exclude organizations from that program. You cannot say, send your child to a private secular school but not a private religious school. That is a form of religious discrimination that is barred by the U.S. Constitution.
You know, Daniel, as I listen to you talk about this case, help me on this a little bit, but out of memory, about maybe a year and a half, 2 years ago, wasn't there a similar case that was about improvements on the playground and money that was going to religious schools? Help me on that.
Yeah, so that was a Trinity Lutheran case. This is a follow-up, basically, to that case. That case said there was a playground resurfacing program giving money for the surfacing of playgrounds, and a religious school wanted that money, and the state, in that case, said no. And that case, the court said, yes, you have to give that money, allow religious groups, schools, to compete for that money. This is a follow-up case because it involves education, which is a more contested subject. There, the money was going to the playground. Here, the money is going to a religious school. And so there is some debate, some argument that, well, that principle only applies to secular use of the money. You know, if you're using it to build a playground, it's different than if you're using it to fund a religious school. The Supreme Court said no. Basically, outside of a very narrow exception for money from the state going to fund clergy, which said in the past, that is, the state can bar that, would not violate the Establishment Clause. The state could forbid that. They said otherwise, any program that gives money equally, neutrally between religious and non-religious organizations is, the state has to offer money to the religious institution and to the secular institution.
I see. Is this, in your opinion, Daniel, a continued animosity against religion and against parochial schools in this country?
So these no-aid provisions have a very dubious history. They go back to the 1860s and 70s and 80s, a thing called the Blaine Amendments, which were a very bigoted anti-Catholic set of laws. That's where these came from. Specifically focused on the fear of Catholicism and hate for Catholics. So this is really a course correction. It's been far too long where these have been on the books in many, many states. The Supreme Court is finally going around and saying, no, you cannot apply these to hurt religious institutions. So I think the Supreme Court, the direction it's going in is a very positive one. There's been a series very good steps for religious freedom, recognizing that you can't treat religious institutions and individuals worse than secular institutions and individuals, and that equality under the law is deeply ingrained in the Constitution. I think the court recognized that in very positive ways.
Daniel, as we look at education across the board, whether it's in Washington, D.C. or Seattle, doesn't make any difference where it is, there are a lot of families that are starting to realize that they are not getting the quality education for their children that they want and or need, and they're trying to find other ways to get their children educated, but there seems to be so many roadblocks in the way. Am I right in assuming that or not?
Yes, states, really, they want to keep a monopoly on education. They try to do what they can to limit homeschooling, to limit schools, to limit vouchers, and that's really unfortunate because parents know better than the state what is best for their children. In Montana, we represented the Armstrong family in a case that was not the case that went to the U.S. Supreme Court, but a kind of parallel case going on at the same time. And this was a family who just wanted to send us to a religious school. Not even because they're so religious themselves, but because they knew that was the best quality education available to their child. Parents know what's better for their children, and they can help make sure their child has the best education possible. State, tries to take control, and that is contrary to liberty and contrary to a parent's ability to create the best education for their child.
Let me ask you this, and this is kind of a speculative type question and answer, but what about homeschooling? We hear so much about the animosity against homeschooling by the liberal left, and they've got to stop it. They've got to do away with it. What is the future for homeschooling?
I think realistically there is no real fear. It is deeply it's protected by the Constitution, and the Supreme Court has recognized that states cannot require a parent to send their child to a public school. There is a right to homeschool a child. I don't think that is going anywhere anytime soon. The court is very strong, has been strong on this for 100 years. So it is a very deeply rooted principle. So I'm not so worried about whether the states could abolish the ability to homeschool. I think that would be very quickly declared unconstitutional. There are efforts to put worrying limits on what parents can teach, requiring certain certifications, certain qualifications, certain curriculum, and those can be very problematic if they're used in a way to control the ability of a parent to raise their child in according to their values and according to their beliefs.
You just said something that really raised and piqued my interest. There's going to be more, I'm paraphrasing some of your words, but regulatory means and methods to control what they can teach in the home. Right now, I think patriotism is at an all-time low in this country, and respect and pride in America. What would they, the left being the they, what would they try to do to a homeschooling parent that would limit their ability to really learn the Pledge of Allegiance, study our history, study pride in America?
I don't think it probably wouldn't limit what you could teach, but they would require you to teach certain things, potentially. At least that's the effort on some on the progressive left. It's not, by any means a mainstream effort, but there is at least some debate about this. There was a scholar from Harvard who argued for abolishing homeschooling, and that sparked a very large debate on the topic recently. So they would require teaching about LGBTQ individuals, for instance, would be an example. They would require teaching evolution and science, to students. Kind of things that parents maybe want to teach their children in a particular way. There'd potentially be requirements on curriculum or what you'd have to teach. I
see. Well, the state of education across the board in the United States, your thoughts? Are we going to be seeing more of this animus against religious schools, parochial schools, or eventually are they going to get the message and leave them alone?
Yeah, well, I do think there are two trends that I find worrying. One is a general trend against charter schools and private schools in states like California. You mentioned Seattle, Washington as well. Effort to say, we don't want money going to these charter schools anymore. The teachers' union and the educators who really want education to be very limited and controlled are rising in power in many states, and I think that's really unfortunate. And the second trend is the targeting of religious schools, which will, I think, increase in light of the Supreme Court's decision about LGBT discrimination protections, religious schools are going to be increasingly targeted to potentially lose their tax dollars or their accreditation. I think that is going to be a major problem in the years ahead.
Wow. I tell you what, you're welcome here anytime. And please note that I'm going to get your name correct this time, and I'm so apologetic for what I said earlier. Daniel Ortner with Pacific Legal Foundation. And if my friends in the audience want to follow this or any case with Pacific Legal, where do they go? What do they do?
Sure. Our website is pacificlegal.org. We're also on Twitter, on Facebook, and all social media platforms. You can go there and learn all about our cases. Again, pacificlegal.org. We're fighting against the government coast to coast, helping individuals fight back and win against the government.
Absolutely. Sir, thank you so much for coming on the program, and I just hope you have a great, great summer. Thank you so much.
Thank you. You as well.
All right, sir. Very interesting. And again, another assault on Christianity, parochial schools, etc. Oh, no, you can't have that money. We're going to take it away from you. Well, the Supreme Court took a look at it and said, no, you can't do that. I think what we better do right now, and then we're going to welcome some calls in the remaining time that we have this morning. I'm going to go through the weather forecast right now, and the weather's being brought to you by some really great guys and gals at the place I say they're the professionals, Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. Accounting services to the Mini-Cash area for well over 50 years. I mean, we're talking the best of tax return preparation, tax planning, business consulting, payroll services, retirement planning, all of this and so much more at the professionals. Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company, with offices in Burley and Rupert serving you. Right now it's time for the weather. Here's Gina.
For the first week of July, it's going to be kind of a warm one. Here's a look at your weather forecast. For today, we are expecting sunny skies, high close to 91, a slight breeze out of the south-southwest at about 5 miles an hour. For tonight, mostly clear skies with a low of 57. Tomorrow, sunny. It will be cooling off just a little bit, only to a high of 80 with an overnight low of 52. By Wednesday, sunny skies, high of 82. Then by Thursday, going to be warming back up to about 90 degrees. Friday, high of 90 as well. Then for the weekend, looks like we're going to be stuck in the 90s. So that's look at your weather for Seventh Ranch.
Oh, Gina, thank you. And again, brought to you by Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company, providing accounting services for you, your business, and your family. Get a hold of them today. Offices at 1710 Overland in Burley and 625th Street in Rupert. The professionals, Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. Caller, I'm going to ask your indulgence. Be patient just 30 more seconds, and I'll be right there, I promise. I want to remind everybody about our friends at Patterson's Electronics. Oh, my goodness sakes. Yes. They know all about electronics. They have all the electronic needs you need, whether it's home theater systems, surveillance cameras, complete sound systems, television sets, whatever. It's all there at Patterson's Electronics with Curtis and Lorena. They're open Monday through Saturday, 9 to 6, and believe me, they know. And with the purchases that you have at Patterson's Electronics, a percentage of those purchases is going to go towards your favorite charity. You be sure and name your charity when you go in there, and the top two are going to receive, listen to this, the top two mentions are going to receive $500 each from Patterson's Electronics, 421 East Main in Burley. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Yes, on the school thing, what would be wrong with putting teachers in on a temporary basis? And if they're not teaching the 3 R's on teaching socialism and communism, they should be put out of a job.
I have nothing against that, but where are you going to find the backbone, or whatever you want to call it, from the school board, etc., to really maintain that they're going to do this? I mean, that's the problem in the hiring practices. I look at the school boards, I look at kind of a weak-kneed, milquetoast school board situation where they don't want to make any waves, and believe me, I am not saying all school boards. I don't want anybody to read that into it. But, that's part of the problem. them. There's not a very tough attitude anymore when it comes to getting back to the basics here for Pride in America.
I guess there's too many people who don't realize what's happening to our country and where we're going.
Yeah.
If this kind of a trend keeps going, we're going to lose.
I don't understand, Tony, and you're a little bit older than I am, but I don't understand why it's minimized. I don't understand why it's not up on the front burner. I don't understand why it isn't the major discussion at coffee shops, at churches, whatever. What's happened to Pride in America, the greatest country ever on the face of the earth? I don't understand why people aren't jumping in and doing something about it.
People are too distracted by toys today. Football, baseball, basketball, playing on the beaches, and they're under the impression that the United States is always going to be there. They're going to be free. But you and I have been around long enough to know that good things don't last forever if you don't fight for them.
I'll tell you what, that ice cream cone's going to melt and it's going to be gone. I totally agree with you. Tony, God bless you for your calls and your insight. Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, Jeff.
Thank you, sir. Nice man. Hey, by the way, some of the Oakley merchants want to tell you to come on up to Oakley Pioneer Days. Oh, wow. They're going to have a ripping good time this year. And they include Clark's for Shopping at 100 East Main Street in Oakley. And they've got that famous breakfast sausage from Grandma's recipe. It is good. It is good. Bulk patties or links. You're going to love it. And believe me, they want you to come on up and support Oakley Pioneer Days. Don't forget Clark's for Shopping on East Main. Also, Oakley Valley Stone, 204 West Main Street in Oakley. And they want to wish everybody a great big happy, what is it, Deanne, 133 years this year of the Oakley Pioneer Days. And don't forget, for all the headstones, landscaping boulders, etc., Oakley Valley Stone. Call them at 862-3450. And Smith's Cafe. Hello, Smith's Cafe, 135 East Main in Oakley. They're open Tuesday through Saturdays, 8 a.m. until all the customers are fed, happy, and they walk out the door. I'm telling you what, they've got their own patties. They got that 3rd-pound burger. Oh, it's good. At Smith's Cafe, 135 East Main in Oakley. Last but not least, Speaker of the House, Scott Bedke, a rancher, and of course, our Speaker of the House is welcoming everybody to the best celebration in Idaho, the Oakley Pioneer Days, and it's going to be July 18th, or back up, Zeb, July 8th through the 18th. Lots of fun for everyone up at Oakley Pioneer Days. You be sure and stop up and celebrate with those good folks. Deanna, if you'd take this, please. I need you to grab this piece of paper here just for a minute and check a couple of things for me that are circled. And calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Did you hear, and I want somebody to call me and tell me if you heard this, but Joe Biden has been spending a lot of time in his basement and coming out on occasion when his handlers think that he can't mess up a certain occasion or say or do the wrong thing. But he came out over the last couple of days, and I want somebody to explain this to me. He said that if he's president, he will transform America. Transform America. Are you in the audience ready for a transformation? Do you in the audience want a transformation? What does that mean? What does that mean? Transform America. I love this country. I love the Constitution. I love everything about it. I don't want to see a transformation of the United States of America. Caller, good morning. What does that mean? What's your opinion? Transform America.
Well, you're going to see the federal government take control of most aspects of our lives.
Amen.
What it's going to boil down to. They're going to regulate everything you possibly do in your life.
You know, when you say that, And believe me, sir, I don't know who you are, but I absolutely agree with you that more government control. They want more of a thumbs-down approach on the American public as to what you can do, what you can't do, where you can go, etc. I think that transformation means, like the Green New Deal, I think that transformation means a single-payer insurance program that's going to bankrupt everybody. I agree with you. The transformation of America is going to be away from the values and the freedoms and to more government control.
You're going to also probably see reparations for blacks, just as they pay, many Native Americans now.
Yep.
Who are living on the reservations. The blacks have been pushing for that as well.
Oh, okay. Now, wait a minute. I'm going to put you on the spot there. I'm going to put you on the spot there for a minute, caller. Hold on just a minute. How do you think the reparations for blacks in this country, how would that be administered? Please explain that as to what your thoughts are.
Well, you just have to look at what they do with the Native Americans. They get, not everyone, I'm just saying that some of the Native Americans that are on the reservation do get checks from the government every month. They don't have to do anything to receive those monies, except, of course, have applied for it at some point and proven that they are of Native American ancestry. So it'll be just automatic to them. They won't have to do an awful lot they just have to prove a certain amount of black ancestry, and I think they'll get the money. But it'll bankrupt this country. We can't afford that. That's nothing's going to happen. The other thing that they've been pushing for is guaranteed national income.
Yes.
For everybody, 18 years of age and older, that everyone would get. They've been talking about $1,000, maybe $1,200 a month, and that's another thing we can't afford. I mean, if you look at what free money has done to a lot of Native Americans, you'll realize it's not a good thing. It has taken these people and made them, and I'm not trying to paint with a broad brush here, but they tend not to want to accomplish anything in life. They're getting their check every month. There's a big boom for a week or so, and then the rest of the month they just wait things out.
That's right.
So it's not good. It's not good. I wanted to make one more point about Biden. Have you noticed in his speeches when they've been broadcasting his responses to what President Trump has been doing, and it doesn't matter really what the topic is, have you noticed, if you look at his face as he's speaking, you can see that he's reading every word from a teleprompter.
Yes.
It's
absolutely
obvious that they're really guiding this guy to make sure he doesn't make any mistakes and any foul-ups that are going to make him look like a fool on national television. I'll bet that even when he has done that, they don't let it get broadcast. But I noticed that in the last few points that he's made about what President Trump has been doing, that he's reading this material carefully, word for word, and he's having trouble concentrating on it.
I agree with you 100%. I agree with you 100%, and I'll tell you what, I honestly believe that when it comes to discussion about having debates between Trump and Biden, I honestly feel in my heart that there will be a pullback and a cancellation of the debates because his handlers, Biden's handlers, realize the man is not sharp enough to do this. I'm late. I got to go to the news. Please call me back. I appreciate it. Thank you.
They're not going to let him do it, and they're going to use the coronavirus as a reason.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you very much. Got to go to the news from CBS. I'll be back with Dr. Gerard Lamero in about 7 minutes. And a good morning to you. Hour number 3 cranks off right now with Zeb at the Ranch. And, of course, we really appreciate our major sponsor, your Magic Valley, Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations serving you with a very safe, clean environment and the best in tires. Along with our friends at Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. Real quick, I also want to mention our dear friends Matt and Kelly Wiggins over at Greystone Crossing Senior Living. Oh, my, what a nice, beautiful, brand new 12-bedroom home for seniors. Oh, my, providing 3 meals a day plus snacks, housekeeping, and local transportation. Woo, all included in the rent. You better find out more, and please call right now, seniors, and take a look at this place. I mean, it's beautiful. Make an appointment to see Greystone Crossing. Call Matt or Kelly Wiggins at 650-4979, 650-4979, and make an appointment. Don't forget Greystone Crossing Independent Senior Living on 21st Street, just 1 mile east of Walmart, where friends stay and really have a great time with their friends. Also want to acknowledge, of course, our dear friends at 7K Metals. Oh, my goodness sakes, yes, we certainly thank them for introducing to me the value of silver purchases. Yes, silver is going up, 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 and you can help yourself build your financial security and future. All you need to do to check out 7K Metals is get a hold of Lon Hardy at 312-8699 or Sharon at 430-3259. 7K Metals. Boy, it's a great saving opportunity for you and a valued treasure for your loved ones in the future. Find out more. Contact Lon and Sharon at 7K Metals. Really, really good folks. Don't forget, too, I got to get this in real quick before we go to our guest, Oakley Pioneer Days. Holy moly, July 10th through the 18th. What kind of fun? All kinds of fun. Starting on Friday and Saturday, July 10th and 11th with the 12th annual Bump and Rub Car Race. It gets wild, let me tell you. And then, of course, all kinds of events, including a big gymkhana. And then the open rodeo up there on Friday and Saturday, the 17th and 18th. And don't forget, they're going to have volleyball tournaments. They're going to have all kinds of great fun, great food, and then, of course, on the 18th, that huge, huge parade up at Oakley Pioneer Days, July 10th through the 18th. Don't you miss it. Let's go to the phone line right now, and one of my absolute favorite people is going to be on the program, and I say good morning to him, Dr. Gerard Lamero. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm talking to you. I love it.
Dr. Lamero, simply put, to start off our conversation for this morning, I don't even know how to start with and Sean, we've got a little bit of feedback. I'm just hearing really come down the line in my headsets. Please, if you could back off on that a little bit. We're seeing so much chaos and disruption going on. How do you make sense of all this as to what's going on as far as all the hurt and the hurting in this country?
Well, I think we had an issue over race that was hijacked by some anti-American groups. I think, for example, the Black Lives Matter group and the Antifa group, they're known Marxist and anti-American. I think they have hijacked that. What might have been a legitimate question over the guy's death, George Floyd in Minneapolis, was hijacked into a series of rioting that's gone on for weeks. Last weekend in 6 major cities in the United States, we had, over the last 6 weeks, in 6 cities, 600 injuries to police members, police officers. That's terrible. And what's really strange is that many people who are sworn into office, Democrat governors, Democrat big city mayors, have decided to overlook it and to allow violence and anarchy to set in. This is the biggest threat to the American system we have ever had in our history. I think this is a bigger threat than World War I or World War II or the Civil War. And I really think that people have to go out and vote this year, and they have to vote for people that are going to stand up and say, I'm for law and order, I'm for getting rid of anarchy, and I won't allow it. Because that's what people are sworn to do when they take office. They're supposed to uphold the law. And we have people who are not upholding the law in big cities, and the anarchy and violence is ridiculous.
Let me ask you this. Have we come too far? And again, Sean, I've got to stop right here. We've got a major feedback problem coming down the line in my headsets. Please, I got to get that eliminated before I go any further. I can't hear a thing. It's way too loud. Have we gone too far? Is pride gone in America and respect in our flag? Or what are we going to do to try to turn this bus around before it goes over a cliff?
I think it boils down to the elections. I think that people who are fed up with this have to vote. A lot of people sit home and say, oh, I'll let the other guy vote, I'll let my neighbor vote. You can't do that this year. You've got to get out and vote for people that respect the Constitution, respect our way of life, and are going to make sure the laws are enforced. We cannot live in a society in chaos and anarchy, and this has gone too far, and it is absolutely ridiculous. Some of these big city mayors have been in office for 50 years, and they have suddenly decided not to follow the law and to allow rioters to get away with murder, literally. In some cases, they allow anarchy, rioting. They allow buildings to burn down. They allow people to get injured. The shootings are up ridiculous numbers in the major cities. We cannot allow this to happen.
Simply put, do you look at these situations as, and again, I'm going to sound like a right-winger here, but I don't care. It's the way I feel right now this morning. Do you look at these situations as another consistent plot against Donald Trump in his reelection?
Oh, I think it is meant to do that. I think it's meant to disillusion his base. I think it's meant to hurt the economy. And I think it's meant for one last gasp to hold on to the black vote. I think by trying to say there's a systemic racism, which I do not believe exists, I think there's some racism here and there, but basically I think we have overcome racism over the years in this country. I think that it's an attempt to hold on to the black vote, because what's happening right now is that black Americans support President Donald Trump by 40%. And that means he's going to get a lot of black votes this year, and they are worried sick because they know their power base is gone if they lose the black vote that always used to vote almost 99% for a Democrat. They know they're losing it. I think it's one last gasp attempt, and I think they're going to fall flat on their faces.
Dr. Lamero, whether it's Major League Baseball or whether it's the NBA or the NFL, there has been a concentrated effort, I think, to capitulate to Black Lives Matter and basically open the door, roll out the red carpet and say, oh, we're so sorry, please come in and be nice to us. Do you see this, too, as kind of a capitulation to an evil Marxist group?
Well, I do think they're Marxist. I think a number of the leaders have said outright they're Marxist. They're willing to say it in public. So I assume they're not telling the truth, or they're not telling a lie. They are truly Marxist. And in terms of capitulation, I think a lot of businesses, they never want to make waves. They want to please every customer, so they're just trying to please a customer segment. But you know what? You're not going to please them. These people want the down throw of America. They want this system to end. They want socialism. They want Marxism. They want communism. And they're going to keep fighting for that. And if you give in to them, they're going to continue to do what they're doing. And we cannot allow that.
You know, Doctor, I don't know if you follow pro football or not, but a couple of years ago, in 2016 was his last year to play, Colin Kaepernick for the 49ers has become the poster boy for all this insurrection and mayhem and rioting with the Black Lives Matter, etc. He came out over the weekend and said that in regards to Independence Day and the 4th of July, that it was a celebration of white supremacy. What are your thoughts on that?
Ridiculous. I think it's utterly ridiculous. It's a celebration of our freedom. The number one thing that you describe America as is free. Our Constitution guarantees our freedom. Has the country been perfect? No country's perfect. We've had our mistakes. We've had our flaws over the years. But to take one and to blow it up out of proportion is ridiculous. This is not white supremacy. This is a country based in freedom. And they ought to be very happy they're allowed to speak. And if they were in a lot of other countries, he'd be shot.
Absolutely. Dr. Lamero, Joe Biden has been slowly creeping out of the basement on occasion, where his handlers are making sure that he has everything scripted and he does and says things a certain way, walks a certain way, etc. Well, a couple of days ago, he came out and said that if he's president, he will, quote, transform America. Transform America. What does that mean?
That means they want to transform us into a socialist country. That's what other people said. Obama said it. and he was leaning in that direction. They call themselves progressive, meaning you progress towards socialism. They want socialism. That's what they're fighting for. And I'll tell you, Biden is just trying to placate all the radicals in his party, of which he's become one. And I think that he would be a terrible president. I don't think we want socialism. I don't think we want to be like North Korea and starve. I don't think we want to be like Venezuela and starve. I don't think we want to be like Cuba and starve. America wants to be free. America wants to have food on the table and wants to have freedom to go to church, freedom to speak, and we have to put our foot down and say, we are not going to put up with this.
Absolutely. We have a caller with a comment or a question. Caller, please, quickly, you're on the air. Go ahead. Caller, go ahead, please. You're on the air. All right, we'll cancel that call. Thank you. Dr. Lamero, let me ask you this about our monuments that are being taken down and destroyed, whether it's Christopher Columbus or any political statue. Now there have been calls to remove Mount Rushmore. I fear for some of our national monuments. I fear especially for Mount Rushmore because of the kooks and crackpots out there that might be led to destroy many of our national monuments that can never be replaced. What are your thoughts?
Well, the president has spoken out on that. He has signed an executive order, and he has said that it's a federal crime to destroy a federal statue or federal property on federal lands, and the sentence is 10 years in federal penitentiary. And I think that's the right way. And a lot of people, I think, are going to back away from that because they don't want to go to jail for 10 years in the federal penitentiary. So I think the president is right to enforce the law, and I think the rest of the governors and the mayors and anybody involved in this has to enforce the law.
Absolutely.
The law must be followed.
Absolutely.
And for the radicals, the Marxists, the communists, the socialists who want a different country, I say buy them a ticket to Venezuela or North Korea. Let them stay there if they want that kind of system. But it's not what we want here in America.
Amen. We have that caller back again. Caller, quickly, you're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Yes, I hope you can hear me.
Yes, go, please.
Dr. Romero, if you were an advisor to Donald Trump to make sure he got reelected, I know the call that he made to the black man who lost his young child who was innocent up there in Chop or Chaz up in Seattle. That was a great gesture. And these speeches he gave over the weekend in South Dakota were great, too. But what other things would you advise Donald Trump to do to get reelected? I'll hang up.
That's a good question.
He needs to campaign on law and order and on America. He needs to campaign on freedom, and he's going to support freedom. He's going to have to go out there and help people running for Congress and the Senate who are pro-freedom, pro-America, pro-Constitution. And I think he needs to campaign every day of the week, 3 times a day or more, giving speeches about freedom versus socialism and how we don't want to go down that sinkhole of socialism, which is just nothing but a rat hole.
Doc, in regards to the coronavirus and the devastating effect it's had on our everyday living, our schools, and also now politics, what are your thoughts and worries about the coronavirus and the limitations that are being put on or suggested to be put on political rallies?
Well, I am against it. I think we should be free. I have looked at the coronavirus numbers because I'm a numbers guy. I do not think the numbers justify what's been done. I think it's like any other virus or flu. It may be slightly more contagious, but you know what? Sooner or later, everybody gets exposed to it anyway.
Yes.
I think these masks are ridiculous. I think closing down churches, you know, they had this thing over the weekend in California where they're not allowed to sing in a church. That's ridiculous.
Absolutely.
That is a limitation of our freedom of religion.
Absolutely.
And it should not happen.
Absolutely.
I think, once again, the leftists, the radicals, the Marxists, socialists, communists have exploited a problem, the COVID virus, and try to make it into a monumental, economy-crushing problem. by shutting things down. I think it's ridiculous.
Absolutely.
And we need to get back to business.
Thank you very much. We have another caller. I've got time for one more call. Go ahead, caller. Quickly, you're on the air.
Doctor, I was wondering the percentage of the problems that we're faced with today of what was brought on by our courts by allowing too much leniency on criminals and them being released back into society. And I just wonder how much of that problem has contributed to what we're seeing today. And I'll sit back and listen. Thank you so much.
All right. Doctor, please.
Question. The answer to your question is it has contributed, but it isn't so much the judges, believe it or not. It's been the lawmakers, and it's been the mayors and people like that who have made rules that say you allow people to get out. They're using the COVID virus to let them out of jail. They let one person out of jail in California who was a murderer, and a day later he killed somebody else. You can't let people like that out of jail. That's crazy. And some of these people are just saying, oh, we've got to allow people out. They think there are too many people in jail and that we've been too tough on them. Not at all. If they broke the law, they deserve to be in jail, and we should not change our rules. And the other rule they changed that was terrible was to say that you commit a crime, you don't have to have bail to get out of jail. That's ridiculous, too. We had a bail system. We should use it. But these leftists, radicals, tried to change that in many places, and they did, and that just meant more criminals on the street.
You know, Doctor, all of this we're trying to fight, we're trying to curtail, we're trying to get back to some sense of decency with values in our country, but it's got to start in two places. And it's got to start in the schools, and it's got to start back in the churches. Wouldn't you agree?
Well, I think the churches are trying to do a job. A lot of them are shut down. They need to stand up and say it's time to open our churches. But I also agree with you that the schools have been teaching socialism for a long time, and I think basically the way to change the schools is simple. You've got to go out and run for school board and work at your school board to change the rules. The school boards are like the board of directors. They make the decisions. They decide what curriculum is taught. We've got to change our schools, and the way to do it is start voting for conservatives on the school boards. Or if you're a conservative, run yourself. Absolutely. We've got to have good people in those jobs, or else they just go to all the leftists who want power.
Your latest book absolutely is a must-read, and I want you to comment for a few moments on your new book, Real World Socialism, Spiritual, Moral, and Economic Bankruptcy Sold by Using False Hopes and Deceit. You have written this book not a long time ago, but since you've written this book, how much has changed or even gotten worse since the final draft on your book?
Well, I'll tell you, the final draft was written in December, and then I started about a year before that. And believe it or not, my trends that I try to identify showed that socialism was going to be the big issue of 2020. And that's why I wrote the book, because I knew a lot of people didn't know about socialism. And they needed to know about it badly. So I researched the topic. I researched every possible socialist experiment, all the socialist ideas, all their ideas about why they're so great, and it turns out they're not, and I decided to write this book, and you know what? It's all coming true. The things that I said they would push for, they're pushing for. The book predicted what's happening now, and it really, truly is happening, and we're living it, but we've got to learn, and that book will really help you, especially if you've got a kid in college who has to deal with a socialist professor, or you have a kid in high school who's dealing with socialist teachers. Give them the ammunition so they can argue with them and tell them why socialism is awful.
Absolutely. Where can the book be obtained?
The easiest way to get it is Amazon, because they sell most books, I think, in the country. It's on Amazon. It's called Real World Socialism. And I've got 5 other books on Amazon as well. And by the way, they're good, too. I've got a book called Renewing America and Heritage of Freedom. That is a great book on freedom. and what every country needs to be free. And people are trying to take away our freedom left and right, and we have to fight those people who want to transform the country. We've got to make sure nobody gets elected who tells you they're going to transform this country.
Absolutely.
We do not want to become a socialist country.
One final thought, Doctor, short answer on this. If you were the manager of Trump's campaign, what would you be telling him this morning to highlight and feature and be much stronger about his possible reelection? What does he need to do?
He needs to get out and campaign, have rallies, do what he does best, is campaign, public speak, and keep emphasizing what he's for. He's for freedom and the Constitution and the rule of law. He's for freedom of speech and freedom of religion. And the other guys, let's face it, they want to transform this country. They've said it. And we don't want to get transformed. We love our country the way it is.
Absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm so honored to have this man on my program. It's kind of turned into a bi-weekly event, and I appreciate that. Dr. Gerard Lamero with his latest book, Real World Socialism. God bless you, Doctor, and please come back soon. Thank you so much.
God bless you, all your listeners, and God bless America.
Amen. Thank you. Appreciate it. Absolutely look forward to having him on my program anytime he's available, Dr. Gerard Lamero. Right now, Sean, can I please have a good word for the Silver State Stampede?
Thunder of hooves, the thrill of an 8-second ride, and all the fun of a PRCA rodeo is at your fingertips this July 10, 11, and 12 when the Silver State Stampede makes its way to the Elko County Fairgrounds. This PRCA-sanctioned rodeo brings you the thrill of pro riders, mini bull riders, Old West bronc riders, mutton busting, and the always popular Ring of Fear. A family day Sunday evening, and tough enough to wear pink on Saturday. Gates open all 3 days at 4 p.m., and you can dance the night away on Friday and Saturday to the music of the Moonshine Outlaws. Family entertainment at its best with the 2020 Silver State Stampede. Silver State Stampede will be following all of the Nevada Governor's directives, Nevada United Roadmap to Recovery Plan, as well as the CDC guidelines. The safety of everyone is our top priority.
Thank you much. Hey, don't forget our friends over at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. Hello, Jeff and the rest of the crew. Open the door and walk in. All the beautiful surroundings, all the furniture, all the living room and dining room sets, all the mattresses by Simmons, Beauty Rest mattresses, great selection, all the recliners, everything for the beautification and comfortization of your home. And then the flooring and carpet department. What are you waiting for? These folks really care, and they know. They know all about everything at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More to help you with, like I said, the beautification and comfortization of your home. They're located at 459 Overland in Burley, and I urge you to get in there today. Don't forget the name, Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. Right now, we're going to send it back over to our main studio. We'll be back in about 3 minutes.
And now, back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KBAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb.
Oh, my. Have you looked at all the crops and the gardens and everything the last couple of days? Man, oh, man, with the heat and the sunshine and everything, growing like I've never seen. And right now, we're going to talk more about gardens and landscaping and everything else with the lovely Miss Vicky over at Vicky's Country Gardens, 185 South, 600 West of Paul. Good morning.
Good morning, Zeb. Did you have a good 4th?
Honestly, it was one of the nicest weekends. We didn't do a thing on the 4th of July, which was nice, because for over 49 years in a row, I was always gone on the 4th of July, rodeoing all over the United States. And it was really nice to sit tight and not do anything, but we did some activities on Friday, and then we did some more on yesterday. Great weekend. How about you?
Same thing. We had a good 4th. Of course, we was in the parade there in Rupert. That's always fun. Get to see a lot of our customers and friends and neighbors as we're making fools of ourselves driving down the road. But we have a good time. we're known for having a good time. So
do you?
That was fun, and then just kind of spent some time out on the river yesterday, and kind of just kicked back and relaxed. It was nice.
Oh man, I tell you what, I envy you on the river. Let me ask you: when you wave at the crowd and you're in a parade, do you do the up and down wave or you do the sideways wave?
I just throw my hand in the air and say, "Hey, how are you?"
Okay.
I've never been one to follow protocol.
Okay. Hey, am I wrong, though, that the last couple of days when we've started to see things turn around and get warmer, and it's going to be warm all this week, holy smokes, things are growing.
They are. This is what they've been waiting for. This is what the plants have been waiting for, is the warmth and to take off and really grow. You're going to see a nice big a surge of growth right now in plants, but you're also going to see a surge of insect trouble and a surge of fungus problems. Because with all the damp and the wet we've had, that old blight's been just kind of laying there waiting for some warm days to show up, and they're here. So be prepared. I would fungicide your garden completely and get ahead of it if you can.
You know, maybe for the first-time gardeners, and there's a lot of them out there evidently, explain fungus and all the blight problems again, and explain what to look for.
Okay, blight is a fungus, and there's probably 9,000 different varieties of fungus that can hit anything from fruit trees to garden plants to roses to everything. You've got powdery mildew, you've got late blight, you've got shot hole fungus in trees, you've got all kinds of stuff. So, I mean, just something that you have to kind of watch your plants for and find. And when the leaves start looking not normal, you've usually got some type of a fungus or a blight setting in. In the gardens, on the tomatoes, the worst thing that is the blight that hits them, and it can take them down really fast. And that's why I say get a good fungicide going, because it is a disease. It gets into the plant. It's not a bug. It is an actual disease that works its way into the plant and works just kind of like the coronavirus. It just gets right down there and can make some of your plants really, really sick, and some of them don't react as hard.
Now, what about certain crops in the garden? Are they more susceptible than others?
Well, yeah, you've got, your tomatoes and your peppers are going to, especially tomatoes are susceptible, and potatoes, they're in the same family, so they are susceptible to the blight, the different blights that come along. You've got your powdery mildew, and that will fit in from too much humidity on your squash and cucumbers and that, because of, all of the moisture that's coming up under those big leaves. So, but yeah, there are, most of the time the tomatoes are the ones that are hit the hardest. This year, however, we are having trouble with beans coming up with blight on them. And peppers are struggling pretty hard too. So that's why I suggest just take the fungicide, a good broad spectrum fungicide, and fungicide your whole garden of an evening. Do it about every 7 days for a couple of 3 weeks, and just keep it out of there.
What about the bugs?
Oh, we got bugs of all sorts and sizes coming on right now. We've been seeing a lot of earwig and slug damage where the leaves look just like lace. All that's left of them is just the main veins in them. The meat of the leaf is all gone on a lot of the plants. And that's usually a slug or an earwig that's getting in and doing that. And they're coming up from the ground. They're not flying in. They're coming in from the ground. And so that is stuff that you need to bait. You can always tell if you've got slugs in your garden or in your flower beds and that by taking a shallow pan, like one of the little those little aluminum pie pans, nestling it down about ground level in the dirt, putting about a half a cup or 3/4 of a cup of beer in it, and stand back and wait. And the next morning you'll know if you've got slugs. They'll be inside the pan.
Now, are you talking about the slugs that crawl on the ground or the two-legged kind?
The slugs that crawl on the ground. There's something about beer that they draw to. I don't know what it is, but they definitely do draw to it. And you will know if you're having slug problems. That's one way of testing it, and it's also a way of getting rid of them. Because then you just throw them out. They die happy. You just throw them out and put some more down.
Does it make any difference if it's a light beer or a standard?
I don't think it makes any difference at all. I think they go for whatever's in there.
Okay.
But And if you don't want to do that, there is slug bait. There's different, you use the diatomaceous earth underneath them, which is an organic powder that you can put down that kills them as they crawl through it. Or you've got the different baits that have the scents that draw them to them, and they ingest the bait and it kills them.
I think
as it gets hotter, and as our days get hotter and drier, we don't have the heavy rains and everything. Out in your garden and that, you should see the slugs start to leave because their body structure cannot handle heat.
Okay. Where do they go in the wintertime?
They just disappear, I've decided. They crawl down in the ground and just disappear.
Oh.
Maybe they move back to Oregon where they came from.
Okay. And
they catch a flight and go back.
I see. Well, I learned something about the beer. However, I don't know on a hot summer day if I'm really willing and able to provide beer to a slug. I'd rather keep it for myself.
Use that bottom inch that usually gets warm by the time you get down there anyhow, so just use that.
Hey, we're getting pretty close to harvesting some of this stuff that we've worked so diligent on, especially corn on the cob. How far away is that?
Well, corn's a little late this year, I'm afraid, because of the weather factor. I don't see the corn getting. It hasn't been anyhow. It's still pretty high priced in the stores, but I think we're probably still on some of the early corn. We're probably still a good 3 weeks or so out on on that 3 weeks to a month out because it was late getting in and it was slow growing.
Okay. And
it's coming along. Zucchinis are starting to kick in, so kind of watch. Either keep your car locked or open your windows if you want some.
Okay.
The zucchini's coming on, and once it starts, it don't seem to want to quit.
Amen.
And radishes are ready right now. A lot of people are going in for their second and third and fourth planting of radishes, and that. Everything's starting to kick in. Cucumbers are starting. I picked 2 cucumbers off of my plant that I have been growing. Of course, I have a little better place to grow. I can start them out in the greenhouse and push them a little harder. But I did pick a couple of cucumbers off of it, and it's blooming. And a lot of people have said their cucumbers are blooming now. But this heat setting on, they will bloom.
Absolutely. Speaking of blooming, I get quite a few emails regarding flowers at this time of the summer and the heat with the flowers. Anybody need to take special precautions to keep their flower beds looking good before they wilt and kind of fall over because of the heat?
Well, just remember on your gardens, your flower gardens, your vegetable gardens, whatever, it's best to water them up in the evening or in the very early morning. And when I say early morning, I'm not talking 10, 11 o'clock. I'm talking early, like 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning. Deep water, and then leave them alone. Don't overwater in the heat just because it's really hot and you think you need a drink. They may not. Check your ground first. Worst thing you can do is overwater them in the heat because it'll root rot quicker.
Okay.
Fertilization on flowers in your flower gardens. Petunias and that, heavy feeders, they like a lot of fertilizer. They like to be fed quite regularly. If you're using the Miracle Grow or whatever, or the Blooming and Rooting that I have, try to fertilize them at least in your flower beds at least once a week with a mixture and just pour it down, like I say, of an evening, pour it right in the ground. You'll have a lot better looking flowers if you will give them something to grow on, something to work on, because they do definitely need extra fertilizer. If they're in planters and you're using potting soil, then you need to bump up and do fertilization on them at least twice a week.
Okay.
Because it's draining through.
Well, it is time for the Vicky's Country Garden Tip of the Week.
Well, my tip of the week is go out early in the morning or late in the evening when it's nice and cool with a nice glass of iced tea or whatever you prefer.
Mm-hmm.
Take a walk through your garden on a daily basis now and look for damage. Get to know your plants very well. Look for leaves that have got spots in them, leaves that have got holes in them, and start figuring out what's causing it, and get ahead of it. Don't let the disease and the bugs get ahead of you, because that's when it can really finish off a garden right now.
Absolutely. What's going on over at Vicky's Country Garden as far as any specials and any change in the hours, etc.?
Well, we've got all of our vegetables, and that are 50% off right now. Tomatoes, cucumbers, melons, squashes, all that kind of stuff, 50% off right now. Bedding plants are going to be 25% off right now, 4-packs and that type of thing. Then we've got our bark and everything is in ready for landscaping. We can have it delivered if need be. And we still got trees and shrubs and lots of good perennials that we're getting new perennials in every week. So just come and see us. We've just got lots, and we got some new metal stuff in too, some new metal yard art.
All right.
Plus, we're going to be selling Mexican vanilla now.
What, Mexican vanilla?
Yeah.
What's that?
It's one of the best vanillas you can ever get to do for cooking and baking and things like that.
Oh, okay.
We will have the bottles of Mexican vanilla now to sell.
I think during the next 7 days prior to the next program, what we should do is you and I should get together either via the phone or in person and sit out on my sun deck and write a song called Slugs in My Beer.
There you go. We'd probably have a hit.
I hope so.
That's a country song if I ever heard one.
There you go. The lovely Miss Vicky at Vicky's Country Garden, 185 South, 600 West of Paul, 438-5663. Vicky, God bless. Thank you so much.
You bet. Thanks, Zeb. You guys have a safe week.
You too. Thank you much. Hey, it's time for the weather real quick, and the weather brought to you by Scarrows Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome. My goodness, the telephone number to call, 324-7657. You can go to their website and check out all the delicious meats at Scarrows Meats, scarrowsmeats.com. I mean, all the hams, all the different flavor of bacons, and there's a lot of them. Pork chops, tri-tips, bratwurst. Oh, I love them, love them, love them. Give them a call, and they can help you. Stop over 331 North Road, Jerome. Scarrows Meats, 324-7657. Right now, here's Gina with the forecast.
For the first week of July, it's going to be kind of a warm one. Here's a look at your weather forecast. For today, we are expecting sunny skies, high close to 91, a slight breeze out of the south-southwest at about 5 miles an hour. For tonight, mostly clear skies with a low of 57. Tomorrow, sunny. It will be cooling off just a little bit, only to a high of 80 with an overnight low of 52. By Wednesday, sunny skies, high of 82. Then by Thursday, going to be warming back up to about 90 degrees. Friday, high of 90 as well. Then for the weekend, looks like we're going to be stuck in the 90s. That's look at your weather for Seventh Ranch.
Thank you very much, and don't forget Scarrows Meats. Don Scarrow and the crew with the delicious meats. As a matter of fact, they are changing the way we eat, one delicious bite at a time. You get a hold of them today. Scarrows Meats over in Jerome, 324-7657. All right, let's go to the phone line, and it is time for Dog Days, brought to you by Minidoka Animal Control, and here is the lady in charge, Deb Hines. Good morning. How are you?
I'm good, Deb. How are you?
I'm a little concerned about you because evidently your wristwatch is a little different than mine.
Oh, it's been a Monday all day already, okay?
I saw that text, and it said, how come nobody called me for Dog Days? And I'm sitting there while I'm talking to my guest, and I thought, you're not on yet, Debbie.
I know.
Oh, dear.
I'm so busy, I forgot. I kept looking at the clock thinking, did I screw that up? Anyway, so thank you for setting me straight, and calling me anyway.
Not a problem. Listen, what's going on with all the wonderful dogs and potential pets over at Minidoka Animal Control?
Well, I am in quandary right now, and I would like people to come and check out my puppy population. I've got like 25 of them.
Oh, my. What kind are they?
Well, I've got, believe it or not, Border Collie pit crosses. Some of them look like the Borders. They've all got the white tip of the Border. I've got some Border Collie Mastiff cross pups.
Oh, my.
They're big. I've got some Husky cross pups, and I've got 2 little pit lab cross pups.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, whatever you want, I've got one.
Well,
I promise.
I'll tell you what, it sounds like 25 puppies, and I get kind of saddened when I think about puppies being left or being abandoned, etc. How did you come across 25 puppies?
Well, 9 of these little guys, the Border Collie pit cross pups, somebody poisoned their mother when they were 3 weeks old. So they've been being hand-fed.
Oh, boy.
Till just this past week. Now they're eating food, and they're in really, really good shape. But that's how I got them. The Husky pups I seized because they were starving to death.
Oh, my.
And the rest of these were just happily brought to me in the drop box.
So
and I have no idea.
I'll bet you if we were to do this program out in the kennel itself with 25 puppies and the other dogs, I probably wouldn't be able to hear you.
No, and I wouldn't be able to hear you either, because you walk out there to ask a question, and the first thing you do is start waving your arm. Come outside. We can't hear anything.
Well, along with the 25 puppies, and boy, I'll tell you what, folks, get over there and take a look. They may be just right for your family situation. What other dogs do you want to feature this week?
Well, I've got a very strange one in over the weekend. I promise you, he looks like, I don't know what he is. Anyway, he is a cross, but he's a beagle cross.
Okay.
And I think he's crossed with a Border Collie, and he is tan and black, and he is the sweetest dog ever, and he's cuter than sin, and he's just a happy little boy.
Okay.
But he is very strange looking.
Wait, I can't wait. I wish, here's what we ought to do from now on. Every Monday, you ought to shoot some pictures and text them to me of the various dogs that we're going to talk about so that we can highlight them. How's that?
That'll work. In fact, if we just got a really good picture of him, I'm going to send it to you anyway. You've got to see this dog.
Okay.
Because I walked by today and I went, what the is that? And then we brought him out and I just started laughing. I said, who on earth would do this on purpose?
Well, how big is he?
He's as big as a beagle.
Uh-huh.
So he comes up about just below my knee.
Uh-huh.
Longer than Methuselah. You know how long they get.
Yeah, they do.
And just grins ear to ear. He is just a happy, happy boy.
Oh,
he's
my.
happy to be here. He's happy to be alive.
Well, what's the status on him? Was he abandoned or what?
I have no idea.
Oh.
He showed up. Haven't had anybody calling.
I see. Now, what's his name so that we can have a name to refer to the public?
Roger.
Roger? Okay.
Yeah, Roger's the Dodger.
Okay, good. So if anybody's interested in Roger, what do you know about the dog? I mean, is he pretty good around people and kids, etc.?
He's good on a leash. I think he is house trained. He loves people. He's great with other dogs.
Okay.
He's just perfect. He's just weird.
Okay. Does he have the long? Does he have the long beagle ears?
Yes.
Okay.
I know.
Well, I'm anxious to see a picture of him, to be honest with you.
I know.
All right, well, now...
But anyway, yeah, he's a cutie.
Well, besides Roger the Dodger, which is a beagle and you think a Border Collie cross, what other dog did you want to feature today? What other dog?
If anybody's interested in a really nice pit bull, I've got a black and white one here.
Okay.
That is leash trained, house trained, people trained. He's charged with, again, eating the neighbor's chickens.
Let me ask you.
That's the reason that I've got him.
Let me ask you a question there.
He will stick with you like glue.
Let me ask you a question about pit bulls, Debbie. I don't know that much about pit bulls. Never been around them that much. Do a lot of people have misconceptions about pit bulls?
Yes, they do.
Why?
If anybody ever does any history work on them, they would find out that they were bred for nanny dogs.
Okay.
And these dogs are super protective of their family, which in some case, I mean, you know, to me, that's a good thing. When you got little kids, you want somebody to help you with that.
Yes.
They're low-key. People have trained them to be vicious. Those dogs are the most loving creatures ever. And they've gotten a really, really bad rap because of the pit bull fighting.
Okay. And
but if you get one that has been taken care of and loved, like this guy, all he wants to do is just be with you and take care of you.
Okay. What's his name?
I can't remember what they called him. I think it was this. Here's how we did this one. Black and white pit, because we don't know. We're out of names. So if anybody wants to help me name this dog, please call me.
Checkerboard. Checkerboard.
That'll work.
Okay, checkerboard. All right, well, listen, if people are interested, and I'm almost out of time, but if people are interested in any one of the 25 puppies that you have, along with Roger or Checkerboard, how do they get a hold of you?
Call 208-438-2200, and we will give you all your information and set you an appointment up to come meet them.
All right. Deb Hines with the Minidoka Animal Control. Always a pleasure, and please text me that picture of Roger. I can't wait to see that. Thank you, Deb.
Well, I'll get it sent in just a few minutes, okay?
Thanks a lot. Have a great week. Thank you so much.
You too.
Let's find these dogs a home. I just hate to think of the alternatives, so please get a hold of Minidoka Animal Control. They got all those puppies and Checkerboard, the Pit Bull, and the Cross, the Beagle, and Border Collie Cross named Roger. Please get over there and check it out. Deb Hines, thank you very much. Want to remind you about our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Oh, boy, they have got the best tire value promise in the industry. That's right. And the best of tires for your vehicles, cars, pickups, SUVs, horse trailers, boat trailers, everything. Oh, you're going on a little road trip, are you, Bunky? Well, listen to this. They've got a free pre-trip safety check for your vehicle. It includes tire inspection, tire pressure check, visual wheel alignment inspection, to see if you're wearing them out, and a visual inspection of the front end components, and a visual inspection of the brake components, and also a visual inspection of shocks and struts and battery. Holy smokes, they want you to leave here, come back safely. Absolutely. All of your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Safe, clean environments, and, of course, the best in tires and the best in service. Be sure and stop in and see James and Buell, Dan on Pole Line in Twin Falls, Lane and Rupert, Mike and Jerome, I was going to say the other one. Dave on Blue Lakes in Twin Falls, the Twist family, and Paul and Trent on Overland in Burley. There we go. All 7 of them serving you. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Absolutely the best. Wow, I'm out of time. Got to run. We'll be back tomorrow morning at 8:06. Stay cool. Drink a lot of liquids. Your choice is your choice. And we'll see you tomorrow morning at 8:06 right here where we always say the way things were are the way things ought to be. And the 4 words that mean the most to us, in God we trust. Have a great day. See you tomorrow morning.